Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1548A, and today's date is April 18th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, The U.S. is being prepared for an economic collapse transition. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, as we can see, the central bankers, they're getting very, very nervous about this cryptocurrency market. And we've talked about this in other reports where we said they could dump a lot of cryptocurrency to make it look like the crypto market is very volatile. And we said they could purchase it, or they might use some type of method where they have a lot of Bitcoin or any other type of coin and they dump it and basically bring down the price. I had an interview a while back with Jeff Nielsen who said the same exact thing, where the central bank, they could just print a lot of money, buy up a lot of Bitcoin, and then wait for the right moment and then bring it down, pump it right up, bring it right down. I mean, the central bankers, they're experts at this. Now, we've been seeing that the Mt. Gox, the hoard of Bitcoins that was produced by that, they've been dumping this. We also see there was a single Bitcoin whale who unloaded 50 million worth of the digital currency in one Bitfinex trade. Now, the drop comes one day after the third largest Bitcoin wallet also unloaded around 50 million of the digital currency. So what they've done is they brought the price down. And basically they let go about 6,600 Bitcoins at an average price of about 8,026. And basically when you combine the two, it's about $100 million worth of Bitcoin that was dumped in 24 hours. Now, what's very interesting about this is that New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman launched an investigation into 13 cryptocurrency exchanges, including Coinbase, Gemini, BitTrust, and the probe seeks information on fees, volume data, procedures governing margin trading, among other things. And the news hit some 4 hours prior to the sale. Now, the news came out that they were looking into this. They made the sale, making it look very volatile. And then Christine Lagarde comes out and says that cryptocurrencies, well, we need to have regulation. There needs to be, and we should require regulations in the crypto space. So it looks like they are pushing to control the crypto market and have governments step in, create regulations, and basically control the entire market. Remember, the central bankers, if they can get the governments to cooperate and place these regulations to basically say, and in the regulation it can say these are not currencies, these are commodities, these, have to be traded in this way, you can't use them to purchase. I mean, this is really what they want in the end. Now, what we see is that this market is very volatile today. The central bankers are pushing their agenda. They're making it seem like you shouldn't own this. And really what's happening is that more and more people are looking at this in countries and other central banks that are not part of the private Western central bank system. They're looking at this and saying, you know something? This is a way around the dollar. And as we see the dollar collapse, we can see that this is an alternative. Now, the days of just holding the cryptocurrency and just crossing your fingers that it goes up, I think those days are over. I mean, they might come back during the period of time that the entire system is breaking down and cryptocurrencies are rising because the manipulation is gone, just like with gold and silver and everything else. But until that time, you need to navigate around all of this. Now, a lot of people have joined the trading room where you have traders in there showing you and putting up charts, and it's an entertainment room showing you the trades that they do, and a lot of people have been making quite a bit of money. I'm in the room, not as often as I'd like to be, but I'm learning just like everyone else. There is a separate room just for the X22 people who sign up. There's also a school that can train you on how to purchase cryptocurrency, how to sell cryptocurrency, and then once you learn that, you can go into the trading room and you can go in there and ask questions. You can find out information, and people have been making quite a bit of money. I mean, I made a trade just the other day and actually made some money off of this. So they navigate you around all of this that is happening today. Now, again, it's not foolproof. You're going to have your ups and downs there, but the learning, the communication is fantastic. All you need to do is go to x22reportschool.com. It will bring you to the web page that will explain what the school is, what the trading room is. There's also a link on the x22report.com website. It's on the right-hand side. You can see the banner there, and you can go there. You can take a look, and you can decide, what you want to do at this point. But again, there's a lot of people that are in there, a lot of people working together to get around this, and the two individuals, Crypto Z and Crypto Cowboy, they are incredible in the trading room. They really know what they're talking about. So just visit it, take a look, see if it's for you, and this is a good way to learn and then learn how to trade in and out of cryptocurrencies. Now, a couple reports ago, we talked about how Trump was looking at the Trans-Pacific Partnership, looking at it to join the TPP. He would like to rewrite it. He wanted to basically mold it into what he wanted it to be, to join the One Belt, One Road system with China. And he looked at the TPP. Now, there were individuals that were pushing him into this. Mnuchin was one of them, Goldman Sachs boy, deep state operative. There were other individuals that were also pushing this, but I noticed a lot of the articles that were coming out. Mnuchin was saying, yes, we're looking at the TPP once again. Yes, we're looking at the TPP once again. And Trump did assign individuals to look at it, and they looked at it and they said, listen, it doesn't fit into what we want to do here. I mean, they looked at it and it just did not fit whatsoever. Now, this is coming from Trump. He said he opposed to the U.S. re-entering the TPP and instead advocated for establishing bilateral trade deals with countries. He said, while Japan and South Korea would like us to go back into TPP, I don't like the deal for the United States. Too many contingencies and no way to get out if it doesn't work. He added that bilateral deals between two nations are far more efficient, profitable, and better for American workers. And we see right now that the TPP was not designed to better the American people, the workers of America. It was to better the globalists, because the NAFTA deal, the TPP, everything that was being set up was for the globalist system. And again, he thought maybe he could rewrite it and make it work for the United States, but it looks like at this point it is not going to work for the United States. And bilateral trade deals with each individual country, which I think is a better approach anyhow, because this way, if one country is not doing something, it doesn't affect the rest because you have different deals with them. It's almost like diversifying your portfolio, and I think that works out a lot better. Now, the IMF, they are getting very, very nervous. If we go back a year ago, they came out with this Global Financial Stability Report, and they issued a warning. And they saw that private sector debt, governmental debt was rising very, very quickly. And it found that more than 20% of U.S. corporations are at risk of defaults once interest rates rise. And if we move forward to today, 1 year later, the IMF once again sounded the alarm on debt, only this time on the public side of the ledger, warning about what else? Excessive global borrowing, and noting that with a total of $164 trillion of debt, or 225% of global debt to GDP, the world's public and private sectors are more in debt now than at the peak of the 2008 financial crisis, when global debt peaked at 213% of GDP. Now it's at 225% of GDP. I mean, we're almost at the point where we're at the debt to GDP of World War II, and we were in a war at that time. But they're very, very nervous about all of this. They're saying, when looking at the big picture, U.S., China, and Japan, these three countries alone accounted for half of the $164 trillion total in global public and private sector debt. They said there's another threat rising, and that is interest rates. The IMF said that the interest burden has doubled in the past 10 years to close to 20% of taxes. And what are they saying to do at this point? They're saying that governments right now, they should raise their taxes, lower public spending, push austerity, decrease annual borrowing, and get the burden of debt on a firmly downward path. Basically, what they're very worried about is these countries imploding under their watch. So they want to do what they did to Greece and Cyprus, make the people pay for the countries taking on all of this debt. And what they're saying to do is raise the taxes on the people, so this way you can pay the interest on the debt, and basically cut a lot of your programs. Yes, all this has to be done, no matter what. But all this will do, it will allow the central banks to continue to operate. It will keep countries in limbo. This is what they like to do. And they don't want a country to default on their watch. I mean, if Greece went down, or Cyprus went down, or the U.S. went down under the central bank watch where there were no wars or any type of an event, it would be blamed on them because the debt burden was too high. The central banks put these countries into this type of debt burden. I mean, remember, the global debt burden is huge. The U.S. debt burden is huge. And people would look at the central bank and say, whoa, wait a minute. Debt is not good. Debt destroyed the country. And they're most afraid of this. We see right now that the yield curve continues to collapse. Since the Fed hiked rates in March, the yield curve has collapsed. And Fed Williams warned that the yield curve inversion is a warning signal, noting that an inverted curve was a powerful recession signal, and added that if the yield curve inverted, well, this would be a major problem because guess what? We're in a recession. And I think they're doing whatever they possibly can, manipulating everything to make sure that this doesn't happen, but I think we're in a recession already. Now, what's very interesting, Trump tweeted out that Russia and China, they're playing this currency devaluation game. And the Treasury came out before he even said this, that, yeah, we see there's no type of currency manipulating countries out there whatsoever. The report says there's absolutely none. Now, what's very interesting about this, Trump mentioned this, and Q posted different breadcrumbs on the 8chan board. Post 1157, 1158, 1159, and 1166. And these posts show pictures of buildings. Now, this is the Bank of China, the Shenzhen trading floor, stock exchange, which is China's NASDAQ. And basically the captions underneath said the where, the why, and we'd have to go further, who, and the how. So the where is China. That's where this is happening. More specifically, the Bank of China in Shenzhen. The why is Shenzhen Stock Exchange, China's NASDAQ, where in all companies are state-controlled. It represents the payout that American deep state actors receive from foreign states. The who is deep state actors. Biden, his son, CIA, Clinton, and others. The how is by passing American military technological state secrets to Chinese players in return for lucrative business deals and money. This all happens as China purposely weakens its currency, which causes more companies to move manufacturing operations there because it's cheaper. Meanwhile, America loses its technology and military supremacy in the process, and we are forced to purchase vital goods like steel, mobile phones from the same foreign states who would like to sabotage our standing. And there are pictures, and Biden, Hunter, his son, and others have visiting China in this area quite often. And there's a reason why Q put this up there, because Q wants us to research this a little bit more. And why is Trump saying that China is devaluing their currency? These are some of the reasons. And of course the Treasury saying, no, everything looks good. But behind the scenes, this is what is really happening. Now, what's very interesting is that the Fed came out with their beige book, and they are in a panic right now. The question is, why are they in a panic? Well, in March, their beige book, they never even mentioned the word tariff. Didn't even show up 0 times. In this latest beige book for April, they mentioned the word tariff 36 times. Now, the Fed appears to be freaking out over the inflationary impact of tariffs. Now, think about this for a second. Inflationary impact of tariffs. They've been telling us that they can't get inflation. There is no inflation. They're barely trying to get the 2%. But, of course, we can see inflation in food, in fuel, where they pushed it into housing, into the stock market. They pushed inflation overseas. And they're very, very worried about this. So they're worried about tariffs in a growing, vibrant economy. Now think about this. They're worried about inflationary impact of tariffs in an economy that's strong, it's growing, and everything is fine. I mean, if this was true, there would be no panic because businesses could simply pass on these costs to consumers. But the fact that there are no less than 36 instances of tariff panic confirms all you need to know about the pricing power of U.S. businesses. There is none. And what is more problematic is whether the Fed will view inflationary tariffs as a reason to hike rates again in 2 months, or to keep them unchanged due to the resulting decline in consumer purchasing power. Now let's think about this for a second. Trump put these tariffs into place. Remember, the push is to bring down the economy, to destroy not the people's economy, the central bankers' economy. Now, the IMF getting very worried about the debt problem. They're saying governments need to control this. They're worried about the cryptocurrency market, saying we need regulation. The Fed is out there saying tariffs are going to have an inflationary effect on the country. Well, to bring the economy down and to blame all of this on the central banks, well, put tariffs into place, have inflation hit the public, have the central banks raise rates, which would start a catastrophic event of the housing market falling apart because of rising interest rates, the auto loan, the student loan market all falling apart because of rising interest rates. Inflation hits and everything at the store becomes a lot more expensive, which means retail sales decline because of rising interest rates. It puts a lot of people out of the market in the housing industry. Those sales start to decline. Prices start to come down. But the cost of everything else, fuel, food, and everything else continually moves up. The cost of automobiles moves up. But those people who want to purchase the automobiles, they're out of the markets because the interest rates are too high. What has been done with these tariffs? It has put all the blame on the central bank. And people say, well, wait a minute. Trump put the tariffs there, so he is to blame. Remember, the Fed has been telling us that the economy is strong. It is vibrant. There's no problems. We're almost with full employment here. And they can barely get inflation to 2%. If that is true, remember what we said. Businesses would be able to handle all of this. And everyone would be able to handle all of this. But guess what? The economy is built on an illusion. How do you break an illusion? Well, you force it out into the open so people can see what is really going on. And that's what is happening right here. This is why the IMF, the Fed, this is why they're panicking right now. The amount of debt, they need governments to cut back. Because remember, what were they planning on doing? They were planning on having an event, a war, to cover all this up. If you don't have this to cover it up, they can't do anything else but acknowledge that there's problems. Because with war, you could say, hey, listen, we have something going on here. You need to cut back. You need to sacrifice. All the dollars are going towards the war machine. So, you're going to see products that are not on the shelves. Things won't be there. You're going to see inflation. But now, since we don't have that, how do they explain this? And how do they restart their system later on? It's a little bit more difficult at this point, because now the blame is going to be turned towards them, because under their rule, they're telling us the economy is strong, vibrant, and it can't handle a little inflation. It can't handle interest rates going up. It can't handle any of this. So that's a lie then. The Fed has been feeding us a lie. The IMF has been feeding us a lie. The Biz has been feeding us a lie, which will then change the narrative. Who controls the narrative then? It would be Trump, the Patriots. How can you turn this around? Well, because of the Fed raising interest rates, because of the Fed who couldn't control inflation, because of the Fed who lied to us that this economy is vibrant and strong, we need to find out what the Fed has been doing. Let's put an audit bill in place and go audit the Fed to find out the truth. So we can see right now, this is what is being set up right now. The entire economic system is being set up for a collapse and a transition. Those in power tried to push Trump into the TPP. He looked at it, and guess what? He can't change anything. It doesn't work for the country. Bilateral trades are better. TPP's still out. And again, these globalists, they're going to continually try. They're not going to give up. They're going to try and try and try until the very, very end. But at that point, I think it's going to be too late. He will control the narrative. We will be entering a transition, so you better be ready and prepared. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.